Today I'm going to show you how to compress an image in Windows. The way I'm going to show you today is going to reduce the file quality very slightly, there's different amounts that you can change it. So if you're looking for one that compresses it without changing the quality at all, then I'll have a different video for that one, but that doesn't reduce the file size very much when you don't reduce quality, so this is the way that you're going to make images a lot smaller. The program that I'm going to suggest you use is called Sasium, and it's a free application that you can just you can go to their website here. It's sasium.sourceforge.net. I'll have a link to it in the description, and you can just hit download and then just choose either one of the mirrors, and then up at the top you want the regular, not the portable. So, and then that's going to start downloading. I've already downloaded it, so it is right here. Sasium. Just double click to run it and say run. Hit yes at the prompt that pops up, and then hit OK for English, and next, accept the agreement, next, install. This program is really good for just reducing the actual size of your image, but the image is going to be the same before and after, like size wise, how big it is visually, but it's going to compress it. So I'll show you right here. This is a photo that I took a while ago. I felt like a pretty fancy photographer after taking it. You can see that it's a really high quality image. Like if you zoom in quite a bit on it, you can see a lot of detail. Like you can see the water splashing from even this far out. So it's a very big image, and so if I want to just upload it as like maybe a profile picture or something, it doesn't need to be nearly this big. So what I would definitely suggest doing is, if you're compressing photos, have a before and an after folder. If you edit this one and make changes to it, and then you save over this one, then if you mess something up, you can't go back to the original. So always save it like in a different folder. So what I'm going to do is, I have my before right here, and that's what I'm going to import into Sasium. So you just click on the icon up here, and that's going to allow you to import an image, and then I have that on my desktop in compression and before, and so I'm going to double click on that image, and you can see right now it is 5.9 megabytes. Like it says, it 5,927 kbytes, but that's 6 megs, which is a quite big photo. So after you have imported the photo you want, you can do a bunch at once, but I'm just going to show you how to do one, make this simple. Then there's the quality setting at the bottom. The lower you put this, the smaller the final image is going to be. Like I've already tested it out with this photo, and it's going to shrink this one to like 1.2 megabytes, so it's going to be close to 1/5 of the size on this 80% quality. So it's going to look almost as good while being much smaller. But if you don't really care how good it looks, or it's going to be a really small image, then you can drag it way down here and get a really small image. And maybe I'll show you what that looks like too, but for now I'm just going to leave it on 80%. Format is what you want to put it out, what kind of photo you want as the final result. So if you want like PNG or BMP for any specific reason, then you can choose that, but I would just leave it as a JPG if you don't know what to choose here. Input just makes it so that whatever this image is to start with, like if it's a JPG, then the final image is also going to be a JPG. If you put in a BMP with the input setting, then it's going to put out a BMP. So, but I would just leave it on JPG if you don't know what you want. Then there's resize. You don't really need to deal with that unless, like, see, this image is really big, so I might want to make this a background, and my screen resolution is 1920 by 1080. So if I wanted to say resize, then I could say keep aspect ratio, and then choose the width and height here. But that's going above and beyond. So unless you know how to use this, then you can just leave it alone. And then output folder over here, you're going to press this little thing right here, and then go to where you want the after image to be. So like I said, I made that folder on my desktop, that's compression, And so my before picture is in here, and I want to put my after picture in here, so it's in a different place. So then I'm going to say select folder, and then there's an option right here, remember last folder, so then you don't always have to go and select the after folder. And suffix, I think, will add that name to the image, so you could put something like here that says edited or something, so the file name will then be whatever it was and then say edited after it. It's up to you if you want to do it. And same folder as input, we'll put the changed picture into the same folder as the old picture. I would not suggest doing that, so you can keep them separate. So once you've gone through all these options, you can just hit the compress button, and you're going to see that it's going to compress it like it didn't take very long. And you can see it says one compressed, so that I was only doing one image and it worked fine. And you can see saved space is 4.44 megabytes. My original was 6 megs almost, and my new one is 1.3 megabytes. So I saved, it's 77% smaller, and I'll show you how that looks. Like, so this is the original picture, and it's pretty high quality, as you can tell. And then the after picture is right here. And I took this picture with my Canon T4i, so I think it's 18 megapixels. That's why it's a really big picture. So, so you can see that this is the before and this is the after. There's not much difference that you can see. Like maybe the wings might be a little bit blurry, but like see if I zoom in on like its foot here, so you can see that there, and then I zoom in on this one's foot. Ooh. And you compare those side by side. I have to make them about the same image size. Okay, now they're about the same size. And you can see that the image quality isn't that much different. Like this is the after, this is the before. To me, I'm not like a photo wizard or anything, but I'd say that that actually doesn't look bad for being 1/5 of the size. So it is a lot smaller. Now I'm going to show you one more method as well for making the images smaller. So if I have this before image here, I can right click on it and say edit, or you can open it with Paint itself, but if you right click on it and say edit, it will open with Paint. So you can see just how big this photo is. Like it's a really high resolution. It's way bigger than I need it. So another thing that reduces file size is cropping. So I'm going to go to view here and zoom out a bit, so now it's just will fit my screen. Cropping is where you cut out part of the picture you don't need. Like I'm really only interested in the bird. All this kind of stuff here is just extra. Like especially this plane, actually you'd want to get rid of that because it's a nature image. So if you go to the home and you do select, better programs like Adobe Illustrator will have more options for this. This you kind of just have to guess. But you want to kind of keep it at the same ratio as your screen size is, so like try and draw the box pretty rectangular, but you can practice a bit more with it. But for now I'm just going to go quickly. Like I'm interested in, like, let's just say that much. So then I draw that, and I have this box here, and if I hit crop, and now I go to File, Save As, so I'm not saving over my original, and save it in the after folder. And I'm going to save it as like heron. I think it's a heron. Maybe it's a stork. I don't know. So I'm going to hit save. And now if we go and compare the file sizes, so this one is before. Let me just get there. After. Okay. So this is the one that I just did. This is the one that I compressed earlier. So this is the before, and you can see down here it's 5.78 megabytes, while the new one is 1.1 megabytes. So just by cutting out this piece, now it's already 1/5 of the size, because really only have one picture, a fifth of the image there. But then I can even change it so it's even smaller, because if I go to edit again right now, you can see it's still much bigger than my screen size is. So if I'm just going to make this into a background, I don't really need that much. Like I can set it as my background right now, but it's still extra. So if you know how big your image needs to be, you can use this resize option in Paint. And you could have done this before you cropped it if you were interested in like the whole picture. But the resize option, if you click on it, you're going to want to leave this one here that says maintain aspect ratio. And then you can either make it smaller by a percentage, like if you put it as 80%, then it'll be 0.8 times as high, and 0.8 times as wide, so it'll just, well, 20% smaller on both sides. I like to do it by pixels because I know what I'm going to be doing with this. I know my screen's resolution is 1920 horizontal by 1080 vertical, and you can tell that by, like, if you go to your resolution settings. I don't really want to do that right now, but I just know that, so I'm going to put the horizontal as 1920 because that's as big as my screen. I don't need any bigger, and it'll fill in the vertical for you because it's going to maintain the aspect ratio of what the picture is right now, and that's what mattered when we drew that box earlier to kind of make it smaller. So when you say maintain aspect ratio and you're making it smaller, now you hit OK. Now it's going to make it that size, so it's going to perfectly fit my screen basically. So if I go to, now I do another save as, like, as Heron wallpaper, because now it's exactly the size of my screen background, and then hit save. Now if I go back to those two folders here, I have this new one that's Heron wallpaper. So from Heron, which was this big aspect ratio and is 1.1 megabytes, now it's going to be 487 kbytes, so it's even smaller. So right now this is, like, the original was 6 megabytes, and now it's half a megabyte. So this is 1/12 the size that this was. And as you can see, when I set it as my background, even at 1/12 the size, it still looks really good as a background. Like, it still has good high quality and everything. So basically, this is how you reduce file size in Windows, and there's different ways to do it. If you want to keep the compression, if you want to compress an image without losing any image quality, you can look at my next video on this, but you'll lose a bit here, but as long as the original photo is pretty big, then you'll be okay. And that's generally how you do it.